Laugh out loud, it's the place to be, where geeky minds meet so naturally. From pixel legends to blockbuster heart, dive right in, let's set this vibe apart.
Happy October, everyone.
Yeah, it's October. It's Oktoberfest, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have any class in here. Oh, I do. I get tap this. Yeah, it's just drinking, man. Yeah, I don't know why I'm sounding like a stoner drinking. Actually, I don't get drunk too often, so I don't know how.
You get stoned often enough.
Welcome to our movie spectacular for the month of October.
I hope you got a lot of time.
Oh, it's gonna be a long one. We got 6 movies, a 6-pack, and there's a bonus one if we have time, because I did one of the movies, I did the wrong movie. So
Okay.
I'm gonna pop
Have we ever done 5 in one, or is 4 the most we've done?
I know the limit was supposed to be 2.
Yeah.
Blew that out.
We don't do too well on that one.
Yeah, normally we do 3 is normally what we do. This time doing 6. This is crazy, but
This is a special double-sized episode. Which is actually a good way to say it, because you get those double-sized issues.
Yes, this is a one of the larger, year-end issues. It's not the year-end, no. This is October, so it's our what do we call that? You named this Heroes in the Sky.
Heroes in the Sky is comic book movies that you might not have realized that they're from comic books. Now, a couple of them, I'm sure a lot of people are like, yeah, I knew that was a comic book. You probably did, but you don't really know it as the source, especially one of them. One of the biggest ones that we're going to do is it is well known as a comic, but that's not the main source that most people know it from. Some of them, though, you probably didn't even realize they were comic books. I mean, one of these I didn't even realize was a comic book until you mentioned it, Ben.
Yeah. So we'll find that out. And I'll be reminded of which one when we get to it. Are we going to jump right into it? Do we have anything beforehand?
That depends. Do you have something that you want to talk about?
Well, I don't know if I want to get into the topic, though, of that, because that was going to lead me into talking about the topic itself, of which that was a part of.
Okay, we can put that on hold.
Yeah, it's a case of mistaken identity in the comments section, but we could talk about it at a future date. If you want, you can snoop around on our channel and maybe get an idea of which one we're talking about.
Yes, mistaken identity. So here's a little hint, a little teaser as to what it is. Ben had to walk through a desert, and he only had women's clothing.
That is not what it was about. That was Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if anyone else has listened to any of the episodes, that is on every single episode.
No, it's not. I do not talk about Breath of the Wild in every episode.
Okay, so it's not on the episode where I rated the Final Fantasy X characters by myself, but every other episode is there. Even if you have if in the subliminal messages, you'll find it. Play the episode backwards and you'll hear it.
Yes, play it multiple times, diagnose it. No, do not become. You should not. Number one, you should never be that obsessed about anything in media. Yeah. So we got some movies here. Like I said, a 6-pack of movies. Heroes in the Skies. These are movies that are comic book movies, but you might not know they're comic book movies unless someone points it out to you.
Exactly. And you know what I didn't do is I didn't bring up the pictures of each one of them like I should have. So I'm a little unprepared right now. I'm going to get those up as quick as I can. and I'm
Wait,
getting them in the order that we're doing them, and we'll see. See, the second one that we're gonna do, I probably should have put the word movie after it, because what I got was just a block of color.
I had to look it up by its year because that's how I ended up watching the wrong movie by accident because apparently there's a few movies with that name. I think there might actually be like a kids show with that name as well too. I'm not too sure though, but that might be part of the name. Anyways, let's are you ready to start here?
I am so not ready to start. I'm still trying to get these pictures up.
Oh, okay.
I'm halfway there, I think. Oh, that one's gonna be. Oh, who cares? If it's a little bit blurry, pixelated, is anyone really gonna be upset? No, because it's the third movie. So by then people will have dropped off, and the only people listening to us at that point are gonna be us.
Yeah. And we don't care. And we don't care if we screw up. All right.
Exactly.
So, the first movie we're gonna be talking about, is one that is very unique. Some people in the audience they might never even have heard of it. I think, and
That
there's a whole backstory behind it too. Like, what was that? Secret Galaxy. They went and I think they did like a whole deep dive into the background on this.
okay. Well, I'll have it up here in a second. I'm on 5 of 6 right now.
Yep. I'm just helping. I'm filling the time here with some good information. We're going to be ending on probably the most well known of all the movies we'll be talking about today, and well known mostly because it is a franchise that has endeared, that has gone on from generation to generation, each generation getting their own version of this particular franchise, and everybody hates the version they did not grow up on. So,
That's true. That's a very good point.
yeah, everybody likes this particular franchise, but only the version they saw when they were a kid.
Okay, I think I'm just about ready to rock and roll here. Let me just double check the movies. Last ones are blurry. It doesn't matter because people will live with it. Okay, yes. Are we ready to get this ball rolling?
Yes, we are.
So what we're gonna do is this is actually a 2 by 2 by 2. And the way that I see it, the first two movies we're gonna talk about, most people have no idea, no clue at all that these were comic book movies. The next two, you may have had an idea, but it's very, very rare. Um, the last two are commonly known as comic book movies, but like I said, you probably know them from like a different source, be it video game, board game, TV, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing this. The first one, you got your descriptions up and ready,
Yes, I do.
and away we go.
Howard the Duck is a 1986 American science fiction comedy film directed by Willard Hulick. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And produced by George Lucas. Based on the Marvel Comics character of the same name, the film follows Howard, a humanoid duck from a distant planet who is accidentally transported to Earth. Stranded in Cleveland, Ohio, he befriends a young woman named Beverly Switzer, played by Leah Thompson, and eventually becomes embroiled in a battle to stop an alien invasion. Despite featuring early attempts at visual effects and strong cult following today, the film was a critical and commercial failure upon release. Noted for its tonal inconsistencies and unusual premise, over time it has gained notoriety. It has gained notoriety as a cult classic for its eccentricity. My man, all these long words are thrown at me. For its eccentricity. Oh my god, I am so bad at this. In place in Marvel film history. Oh, Mike, the
The
floor.
juxtaposition of the soliloquy in its onomatopoeic iambic pentameter. Okay. Yeah, so let me take this away because I actually remember this is one of those movies that I remember going to the theater to see this movie. And yeah, I was a big Marvel fan, but I think this might have, I don't know, this was probably around when I was starting into Marvel. I didn't know anything about Howard the Duck. I didn't realize this was Marvel. Um, and it's kind of crazy to think about the fact that this is basically the intro into the Marvel universe, cinematic universe, but no one has a clue about that. I mean, this outdates X-Men. Um, Another one we're going to talk about a little later. I guess you could say another couple that we're going to talk about a little later. But yeah, this is it's a soup. It's one of those so bad it's an absolute masterpiece.
Mm.
And the movie itself, I think one of the things that makes it a bad movie is that the movie travels at the speed of light. It goes the first like 40 to 50 minutes is just like jam packed and pushing the story as fast as it could. But there's a few things that this movie does great. Now, first off, it taught me that songs about ducks sound exactly the same, because I can hear that theme song at the end. I can hear this Howard the Duck, do 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 da ba do da ba da do do Howard the Duck. It sounds just like DuckTales to me.
Howard the Duck. It's
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to go along the melody of DuckTales, which is
DuckTales.
so interesting because of the fact that it's both duck related.
Now, I must, since you're bringing this up, and somebody might notice this, if you watch the review of Howard the Duck by the Nostalgia Critic,
Uh-huh.
he makes a joke about duck tits. In the beginning of the movie, you see a female duck, fully exposed, I guess, in a bathtub. And yeah, so he starts singing duck tits, woo! So now,
See, there you go.
about it every once in a while, I think of duck tits, woo!
So, so another couple things this movie does that are great. This movie has so many good one-liners,
Mm.
and to this day, literally to this day, whenever I drive by, I notice like a smog check place, or like get my registration and notice I have to do a smog check. I literally do go smog inspection. Like it'd be just from this movie. It's such a great line. There's some other ones about, if you know if God would have wanted ducks to fly and stuff or whatever. And then there's like I can't even think of some of the lines right now. Oh yeah, like the and my name's not Jack. There's a lot of great lines in this, and that's also what helps it be so bad it's good,
Mm.
is because it's going to be so bad it's memorable based off of the writing. But there is one thing that this movie does that's fantastic, and it's all about one scene, and that's the diner scene, where they can take the protagonist of the movie, the antagonist of the movie, face them off against each other, but then also put them on the same side because they create another antagonist to that antagonist, to where the protagonist and antagonist join up on the same team, but they're still not on the same team, and you can sense that.
I love the waitress in that scene.
Oh yeah.
She's like, she's not putting together what's going on. She's just in her own world. It's great.
Hmm. No, that the way that they did that scene was just so good, because it should be Howard the Duck versus the Dark Overlord. But at that point, then they have to work together, but they're still working separate because the Dark Overlord's, forcing Howard to get it for him. Howard starts sneaking out on his own, and yeah, it's such a well put together scene.
Now, the Dark Overlord, that was one of the scientists that's played by Jeffrey Jones. You've probably seen him in a bunch of things. Also, the geeky guy helping them who had the crush on Leah Thompson's character that was played by Tim Robbins, who you might know for more serious roles as in Shawshank Redemption.
Now, one last thing is those Dark Overlords, when I was a kid, those things scared the crap out of me.
Mm.
They were the thing of nightmares. And I love how they like morph and modify the body of the scientist. I don't know what his character name was. So and over time, it just like the makeup and all the stuff they do to his face, where it looks just like nasty and sweaty. It's just so well done and so much style to it.
Dr. Jennings.
Yes, Dr. Jennings. That's right.
Yep, his name was Dr. Jennings. Tim Robbins' character was Phil Plumpert. Leah Thompson was Beverly Switzer, and trying to see, Howard the Duck was played by a few people for the puppet thing. It's like if you go and watch Alf. Alf has like 4 people controlling him, so it's like,
Well, was Howard a puppet, or was it somebody in the suit
yes,
and then somebody else doing the voice?
yes.
Yeah.
It was both. It was depending on what they needed for that particular shot. That's why I mentioned it. Like, it's just like Alf. Alf was the same thing. If they needed to see his full body, they got a midget in a costume. If they didn't see his full body, he was a puppet. It was the same with Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
So
Just to sum it up, I would say that thumbs up, unless you're looking for something that's going to be a good quality movie. You might want to steer clear of this one, but this is the type of movie that you're just, if you don't care, or I don't know, maybe this is a type of movie where you call your buddies over and then just like trash talk through the whole movie, or just sit there and watch it and then just laugh about it afterwards. It's one of those types of movies. So I'm gonna give it a thumbs up, but I will give that warning.
yeah, so you give it 1 wing up from Mike.
Yes, one very tasty wing.
Okay, so Howard the Duck, when I was a child, was one of my absolute favorite movies. I used to watch this every time I found it on TV. I don't know if I had it on. I probably didn't have it on tape, but I do remember watching it a ton of times. I think because they played it on HBO all the time, and I had access to that. So I used to always love to watch Howard the Duck. It started my lifelong celebrity crush on Leah Thompson. I watched her in this. I, of course, watched her in Back to the Future. I watched her in Caroline in the City. I watched her when she was in a TV show called Switched at Birth. She played the mother. I watched her in that. I watched her. She was in a movie where she was the mayor of Muffin, or the Muffin Mayor, or something like that. I saw it like one early morning. I couldn't sleep, and it was on like Cinemax. So it's like, or not Cinemax, one of those channels. It was on one of the pay channels, and so I'm always like, oh, and the thing is, like, the way she acts as a character too, like, she's a good actress. She gets it, which you can tell. Whatever she's in, like when she's in Back to the Future, she gets the joke. She knows what's trying. She's very smart on that. Where some people, they go into something like this and they don't fully get it. She gets it. She's one of those people. Like, do you think she got the understood Howard the Duck? Yes, she did. I will tell you that she's somebody who studies her roles. She studies the material. She knows she's very studied, from what I picked up, because every time I see her in anything, I never pick up that this actress doesn't know what the hell's going on. And she could do different things, because like when she does Caroline in the City, that's a straight up comedy, and she's really good in that. I've seen her in dramas where she's good in that. So yeah, like I said, I'm a lifelong fan of Leah Thompson. This movie is just so much fun. A lot of it doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
You're scratching your head at moments, but you know what? Just go for the ride. Just go with it. It's a comic book. Certain things are not going to make sense. It's just fun. It's just a fun movie where you end up you end up liking the characters. Even like Tim Robbins' character, he's annoying, but you don't hate him.
Yeah.
And also, like, Dr. Jennings, he's turning into a killer alien the entire movie, but at the same time, it's funny.
Mm. You gotta feel sorry for Phil because he is like the ultimate friend zoned person. And
Oh yeah, yeah, he's completely friend zoned.
yeah.
They tease nudity in this
Which,
at one
dude,
point.
what's it's so creepy about
That is the
it.
creepy part of this movie. Yes, the whole duck human relationship aspect is a little weird.
Mhm.
You know, you're watching it, it's like, I don't really don't know about this part, but you know, like it's one of the movies because there's puppets in it. You instantly start thinking, like, I watched it as a kid. I watched a lot of effed up movies when I was a child, and I'm saying that watching this again, I know that now. There are a lot of movies I watched as a kid that I should not have been able to watch as a child, and this was one of them.
Mm. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in here, like the whole thing of will Leah Thompson or will Beverly and Howard hook up? Who knows? Why is this a question?
Yeah, and I didn't as a kid I didn't get the condom in the wallet. I thought she pulled out a feather when I was a kid.
Yeah, you know what? And then maybe when you were a kid, depending what version of the movie you saw, I'm sure there is a version where she pulls out a feather or something. Because they're like, I could see them doing that because you got to be thinking, well, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't think of this, of making a version of the movie that's good for kids so they can go and get 2 audiences out of this. Maybe they don't think of that. Maybe they knew the kids are gonna watch it anyway. I don't know. 'Cause I watched it. My
Yeah.
grandmother wouldn't let me watch she would not let me watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit because she thought that was too risque, but this was okay.
And this had duck boobs.
I know. This had duck tits. Woo!
So I gotta say though, that I just lost my train. Oh yes, I gotta say though, there was a missed opportunity for a really bad carryover joke, which would have been like when Howard introduced himself, and she would have been like, "I thought your name was Quackvin," and he's like, "What do you mean? Isn't your name written on your underwear, Quackvin Klein?" That would just been great, just for carryover.
Yeah, but like this came out in '86, so at this point, the Back to the Future had just probably come out while they were filming this.
What is this, 86? I thought this was a little late in 86.
This is 1986. It came out August 1st, 1986. So if this came out August 1st, 1986, then they were filming this late 85.
Yeah.
So Back to the Future, when did that come out?
I think that was the summer of 85.
It came out July 3rd, 1985. So yeah, actually, at this point, yeah, that movie would have taken off, but then they would have had to like maybe do some script rewrites to throw references in, and it's probably a different movie company, so then they'd have to get permissions and blah blah
Mm.
blah. Like if it was the same company, they'd probably yeah, because this was like Lucasfilm did Howard the Duck, and oh wait a minute, wasn't who's attached? Oh, George Lucas is attached to it, and Steven Spielberg was attached to Back to the Future, and they're like
Yeah.
best of friends. So
Mm.
that increased a lot of wheels if they wanted to do that.
It's kind of crazy that you think about Howard Duck as a George Lucas film.
Yeah, it's actually his second, according to this Wikipedia article that I also pulled up to get some of the cast member names. It is his second comic book adaptation after American Graffiti. I didn't know American Graffiti was a comic book either.
Oh, I didn't know that either. Well,
Oh,
I guess we should have been in 7 movies for this one.
oh. All right, guys, we're gonna go and stop tape, and we're gonna watch the 7. I'm just kidding.
American Graffiti, man, I got an interesting story about that one. So
I've never,
maybe we'll get to that someday.
I've never seen American Graffiti. I've only seen clips.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I guess we're both giving this a thumbs up because I had a good time watching this. A lot of
Yeah.
memories came back of watching this as a kid, and just getting reminded of this is why I liked Leah Thompson for so long.
It's not Shakespeare, but it's a blast to watch.
Yes, yeah. Don't. This is not Emmy or Oscar award winning anything.
Mm.
It's
Exactly.
so next movie. Ready?
Yes, I am. Wait, no, I'm not.
Okay.
And yes, I am.
Red is a 2010 American action comedy film directed by Robert Schwitsky and based on the limited comic book series of the same name published by DC Comics Windstorm imprint. The story centers on Frank Moses, a retired CIA agent who reassembles his old team after discovering he's the target of an assassination plot. The anagram RED stands for Retired Extremely Dangerous. The film blends high-octane action with humor and features an ensemble cast including Bruce Willis, Helen Mirren, Morgan Freeman, and John Malkovich. Red received generally positive reviews for its cast and tone and was successful enough to span a sequel, Red 2, in 2013. That rundown forgot to mention Mary Louise Parker is also in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So she plays the love interest of Bruce Willis's character. Out of all the movies on the list, is the one I've never seen before. And I actually enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was good chemistry between Bruce Willis and Mary Louise. It was just, it's kind of like a retired, yeah, like because they're retired, and you get to like wonder, like, well, geez, I wonder what a prequel to this would be like when all these guys were at the top of their game, and just to see like the people they got together. John Malkovich was like just completely insane the entire time.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure he relished that, probably that type of role. You might remember him. He was in what was that one that was like
John Malkovich?
Yeah, he was in not Cruel Intentions, the other one. Dangerous Liaisons.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Dangerous Liaisons, yeah. So that was the last time we saw him on our show. Yeah, it was just a fun movie of will he be able to get the team back together? Are they gonna get him? Is he gonna get them? A lot of spy versus spy. Just a good time, a good comic book spy romp.
Mm-hmm.
And I always enjoy seeing Mary Louise Parker in anything. I also like seeing her in nothing. So, which if you see her in Spin Weeds, you get to see. Michael, go ahead.
Okay, so this movie does a really good job of being a comic book movie, but hiding the fact that it is a comic book. Because if you watch this and you don't catch this as DC in the beginning, just the way that this movie was filmed and put together, you would never clue in that this is a comic book. And it makes me interested to actually look into the actual comic line, because I've never done that, to see how that's written and how it's put together. Now, I will say that DC, there's two types of DC movies. There's complete garbage DC movies, which is where I'd lump things like Suicide Squad and Joker into and things like that. And then on the flip side, there's complete dumpster fire, should never exist DC movies. And that's usually where I put Batman or Superman. Red actually falls into the third category, where it's just a completely fantastic movie. And I say that not because I was a Marvel person that hated DC. I say that because I'm a person that doesn't really like DC. But that's another story. So I just going into this and knowing there's a comic book movie, but then watching it and not getting that comic book vibe from it, it's super interesting. It's a very well put together movie where you have these action scenes, but you have other events that are going on in the action scene. Like for instance, the scene in the snow where I don't remember any of the actresses' names, but the Mary Louise Thornton or whatever her name is.
Mary Louise Parker.
Yes, and who's the other lady? I can't think of her name.
That's Helen Mirren played.
Helen Mirren. Yeah, they're going back and forth while she's sitting there getting ready to sniping people.
Yeah.
It's so well put together how they have all these layers that are going on, because they've established these characters from what they have done in the past, to where there's like just so much drama and so much past and so much story and so much tension and all these other things, that these characters are already really just built up. And I'm not I think I mentioned this on Dangerous Liaisons. I'm not a fan of John Malkovich. but
Yeah,
I
either.
absolutely loved him in this movie.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him either, but he's one of those guys like he once in a while like he does a role where like he's really good in it, but the rest of the time you're like he's just eating up the scenery and
Yeah.
um just that we didn't really cover like the story too much, but it basically what it is that there's some mission that happened years ago and it didn't go well, and the current vice president of the United States is somebody who was in that mission, and he's leading up he's trying to get all these people killed who are also involved in that mission, and that's the thing that runs the story, and they're trying to take out the vice president before he takes them out, pretty much.
Now, one of the best scenes in the movie is when John Malkovich's character um puts the lady at gunpoint at the airport, and they're pouring out her purse, and he's saying that she has a gun or a camera or something was in her purse, and she's acting all innocent and scared, and then what happens later? Well, yeah, so see the movie to find out. That was so well done, and he did that role. He did that part so good.
Yeah.
But I will say that the best person in this movie, or the best character in this movie, is Mary Teresa Somersault. I don't remember her name already.
Mary Louise Parker played
Mary Louise Parker.
Sarah Ross, the call center employee, and brings the love interest. Yes.
They made her such a dynamic character that goes from this really wimpy crybaby type call center employee, and by the end, she's pretty much part of the gang.
Dude, if you thought that she was good in this, if you've never seen Weeds, it's very much the same type of character. In Weeds, she's a widow
Uh-huh.
who in an effort to try to put money to try to make extra money to pay for her kids and her life and everything, starts selling weed
Uh-huh.
to other parents,
Mhm.
because come to find out, being a parent and having a full-time job and all this shit, I guess it's stressful. So these people wanted the stress. So she's selling weed, and what becomes is she ends up becoming more and more engrossed in the criminal underground, and she gets like more and more powerful. But yeah, she starts off at the beginning where she's just like this mom who doesn't know what the fuck she's doing to
Yeah.
like becoming like a criminal boss.
Yeah.
But it's
She
also
does that so well. And
yeah,
in this movie, she definitely does that so well.
yeah, and also like yeah, it's also the tone of this movie is very similar also to Weeds. So if you watch Red and you enjoyed Mary Louise Parker in Red and you feel like picking up a TV show, go look for Weeds,
Gotcha.
which I have, Mike. So if you do want to watch,
Mm,
uh,
Gotcha.
yeah,
So I am definitely gonna say super thumbs up for this one. I gotta say I recommend this to pretty much anyone who can handle the violence. I'm not gonna be like, you're 4 years old, go see this movie.
yeah. This is not another one. This is not a kids film.
Yeah. What I would say, if anywhere from your 20s to your 80s, if you can just handle the violence, I cannot recommend this any stronger here, because this is just a fantastic movie.
Yes, and it makes me interested to go see what Red 2 is. I didn't even know there was a Red 2.
Yep. I've seen it, but it's been a long while since seen it. And you mentioned this was the one that you haven't seen. I haven't seen this one for a while. So it was good going back into it because I didn't really remember it. Apart from that, there's a lot of good action in it.
Mm.
So, and what's funny is that the reason why I'd recommend this to anybody is because my parents were the ones that actually went and saw this. I didn't even know about this movie. They went out and saw it, and when I was like in the theater, and they recommended it to me, for me to see, and I'm like, it's coming from my parents. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be bored watching this, but I wasn't.
It probably because it just reminded them of like all this shit you used to make them hear and watch and stuff when you were a kid, and like when they let you pick the movie.
Mm. Well, I think it's more the fact that I would put on something that have a lot of action, and then my mom and dad would just fight,
Uh,
and that's red right there.
yeah.
So,
Okie doke. I lost my script. Why did I lose my script? Where the heck is it? I clicked somewhere and I lost it. Damn it. Where are you? Here it is. I found it.
all right, you ready for the next one?
I am ready for the next one. I have found my script. I know where I am now.
And here it is.
Blade is a 1998 American superhero horror film directed by Stephen Norrington and written by David S. Goyer. Based on the Marvel Comics character, the film stars Wesley Snipes as Blade, a half-human, half-vampire daywalker who possesses vampire strengths without their weaknesses. Blade wages a personal war against vampires while uncovering a plot by the ambitious Deacon Frost to awaken an ancient blood god. Known for its stylized action, martial arts choreography, and R-rated tone, Blade was a surprise box office success and is credited with paving the way for the modern era of comic book films, particularly within the Marvel universe. Mike?
Okay, so Blade is interesting because Blade really isn't all that popular as far as I know in the comic book universe. You like barely see him. I can't even think of ever really seeing his comic books on the stand. And I think I've seen him just guest starring in a couple issues here and there that I've ever seen. So I may be wrong on his popularity, but I don't think I am. So the fact that this became such a big hit is just shocking. But I get it because it's like a nonstop roller coaster action ride. And it's a good one as well too, until there's a point about maybe 15 minutes until the end where the whole scheme's coming together, and it goes from being like a good action film to being this cheesy kung fu film. There's this shift that it just should have stopped. Um, it's awful, but until then, it's great. His sidekicks, both of them are great. The way that they kind of how do I say, clash but don't clash. And I mean, Wesley Snipes does a great job of just being this serious, dark character. Um, there is one character that I do wonder if they were miscast because they couldn't get the right person, and that would be Deacon Frost's sidekick, the dude that was like, "Oh, yeah, we can do this! Oh my yeah!" That guy.
Yes.
Where they probably tried to get Jim Brewer for him, but couldn't get Jim Brewer because like Jim Brewer probably doesn't do action.
Or maybe he just wanted a little too much and they wanted to spend. You wanted 200 grand and they only had like 100 grand to spend. So I'm gonna get this guy.
I just imagine they're like the guy's like, okay, what is my motivation? What is my role? And they're like, dude, just be Jim Brewer.
Just be Goat Boy.
Just Goat Boy. I don't know Goat Boy.
That's Jim Brewer's character. One of his characters from SNL.
Oh, okay. See, I was thinking like Half Baked or something.
Well, yeah, it was kind of like the half baked character, but he would go once in a while.
Gotcha. Okay. So because it just this character feels like so out of place. Just seeing him because he looks like this big dude that's going to just bust some people in the face, but then he acts like a total stoner.
Yep.
I do like though that they keep chopping off his arms. That was good.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's some good things in here, sprinkled in here. It's just that last 15 minutes drag it down for me.
That character was named Quinn. He was played by Delnell Logue.
Now I'm curious, are you looking at what that actor has done, and have they done any roles that seem like the same kind of half-baked type style?
He was in Sneakers, but he played a doctor, but I don't know if that means anything. He was in one of the renditions of Little Women from 1984. Three Ninjas Knuckled Up. I swear it said Three Ninjas Knocked Up for a second. I swear I thought it said Jerry Maguire. He plays one of the agents in Jerry Maguire. He's done a bunch of other stuff. I'm just picking out some of them. He was in Runaway Bride, where he played a priest.
He's probably one of those, oh, it's that guy type of character.
Yeah, he's one of those where like you've probably seen like a bunch of his movies and you just don't remember because he's not too amazing, unfortunately. I'm sure he's a great father and everything, because apparently he's got children.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a great guy and everybody loves him who hangs out with him, but we don't know who he is.
And that's not a bad thing. I mean, when you're that guy that gets the roles, but nobody knows who you are, you're still getting lots of roles.
Yeah.
So, and at least at that point, you're probably doing such a good job at it that people don't think of you as an actor, but actually as a character.
I think he's probably one of those guys where, and this is advice I would give anybody who goes into show business, is to try to be as easy to work with as possible, because even if you are not the most talented person, you will still most likely find jobs, because when they need somebody for a small role, they don't want a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
They want somebody who is cool to be there, happy to be there, works well with them. And you'll always, you won't be the star, but you'll always find work.
Yeah, true.
And I think that this is probably what Delnell Logue is probably one of those guys where he's probably a dream to work with. He's not the star.
Now, getting back to the movie, though, there is something that I kind of have a problem with, is that you have this council of vampires. And you're telling me that they're just going to go along with this, knowing that they're going to be sacrificed for some guy that seems like he doesn't have anywhere near as much power as everybody else that's on that council? I mean, how charismatic does this guy have to be to where the people are complaining about what he's doing while lining up to get sacrificed? I find that hard to swallow.
Yeah. Are you good?
I'm good. So, but no, I'm not good completely. I need to say, I still, after all that, I still give this movie a thumbs up. It's still a good, solid ride. Just get ready for speed bumps at that 15 minutes to the end mark. And now it's all you.
All right. I remember when this movie came out. I remember having it on DVD. I remember having the whole Blade trilogy and thinking that parts 1 and 3 were the better parts. I watched this again for this show, and it just seemed really dated. Like, it just seems old. Like, I don't know, maybe it just didn't age well for me, or I'm like watching, I'm like, I'm not feeling as excited as I did when I first watched this. I don't, and maybe I'm also, I think a lot of it has to do with there's been so much vampire stuff since.
Yeah.
It's just, you kind of get just bored of the whole thing. I'm like, oh, great, another vampire movie. A vampire movie I used to be excited about because I think Blade's a great character. And what I was excited when I was watching the Wolverine movie where he showed up. It was Deadpool Wolverine. He made an appearance, and I was like, yes, Wesley Snipes maybe they'll do another Blade movie. And I was all excited. And then, like I said, I was just watching it again for this, and I'm like, you know what? A lot of it's the music. The music, just like, this is why I highly recommend, if you're gonna spend the money and make a movie like this, you do an orchestrated soundtrack. Always.
Yeah.
Because when you do it with modern day music or modern day style of music, which is what they did in this movie, it does the same thing it does for The Matrix. But in the difference between this and The Matrix, we know The Matrix is dated to 2001. It's part of its charm.
Yeah.
Where Blade is supposed to be more timeless. And it gets stuck where now it feels like a late 90s movie.
Yeah.
And maybe also the cinematography and just the way it was shot. It just, when I watch it now, it just feels like an old film that doesn't seem like, I mean, like, yeah, Casablanca's an old film, but the way Casablanca is filmed, it did in a lot of stuff that maybe was never done before or hasn't been done to that scale yet. Where here it just feels like a 90s movie about
Well,
people.
and to jump on that really quick, there's something that I wanted to mention, but I forgot to, and I'm 99.99% sure it was this movie, is the fact that they're sitting there walking around on the streets with their guns out, and everybody else just walking by like is no big deal until like start getting fired.
Oh yeah, yeah, unbelievable stuff, like stuff that was
Yeah.
never happened, which is something that like more modern day movies they try to pay more attention to,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but with this stuff, it's like, yeah, it's like it's because they're still developing the rules, really.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, the rules were kind of developed in Superman, but you know, they're still playing with the rules and making their Marvel version of it and trying to make it a darker character. And it's a great character. I like to play a character. I just think that the like, yeah, like I said, is that the movie feels like a product of the time versus something timeless, which a lot of like the better superhero movies, you can watch them, and even though you know it's set in 19, like you do know that Superman is set in 1978.
Mhm.
If it was updated to modern time with modern technology, there wouldn't be many changes to the story. Which probably not for Blade either, but it's just that music. The tech,
Howard the Duck is also a product of its time too. I mean, that's clearly a
no, it's a comedy.
yeah.
You don't think that Howard the Duck is the greatest hero in Marvel comics, where there's some people out there who Blade is their absolute favorite.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and I can see that. Like, Blade's an awesome character. He really
Mhm.
is. And there's and when you get into later movies, they do look more into the character. Of course, and when they get to the third one, they have to go and was that the one with Jessica Biel's in it, where all of a sudden she becomes a bigger character, but that has most to do with the fact that Wesley Snipes didn't want to do as much. The guy who couldn't do Major League 2, he didn't want to do as much.
Mhm.
Willie Mays Hayes.
Which I thought the guy that they got in Major League 2 was a lot better.
Dude, honestly, I had to be told that Wesley Snipes wasn't in Major League 2. I thought it was the same guy
Yeah.
because he had so little in the movie anyways. The best part of that of Major League 2 is when they're watching the movie he made with Jesse the Body Ventura.
Mhm.
Was it like Black Thunder, White Lightning?
Sounds like it. I don't know.
It's so bad. It's one of those things like you almost would have seen make it. It's so bad.
Hmm.
Uh but yeah, this movie I will still give it a thumbs up, but it's gonna be like a slight thumbs up because it's not I might be just hating on it because maybe it's just I wasn't feeling it when I was watching it. But I wasn't feeling it. But I used to like it as a movie, so I'll base it on how I used to feel about
Yeah.
it. So
Gotcha.
thumbs up.
So far, I think everything we've gone through 3 movies and all have gotten thumbs up.
Oh yeah, yeah. This
Interesting.
might be a perfect run. Who knows?
Yep. We're gonna go on to the 4th one now.
The fourth,
Unless there's anything else you want to add to that,
no,
Slade.
no,
Okay.
I'm played.
Well, here comes the 4th one.
The fourth one I actually finished watching today.
Okay. It's
And
up now.
what's that?
It's up now.
It is up. Okay. Kick-Ass is the 2010 British-American superhero black comedy film directed by Matthew Vaughn and is based on the comic book series by Mark Miller and John Remington Jr. The film follows Dave Lizewski? Oh God. Lizewski. I'm gonna say Dave.
Lebowski.
Was that
Lebowski.
Lebowski? Dave Lebowski. How about just Dave? The film follows Dave, a teenager who decides to become a real life superhero despite having no superpowers, training, or resources. Calling himself Kick Ass, he quickly finds himself entangled with actual vigilantes, including the deadly father daughter duel of Big Daddy and Hit Girl, and a violent crime boss. Known for its stylized violence, irrelevant humor, and subversion of superhero tropes, Kick-Ass received critical acclaim and became a cult favorite, though it was also controversial for its graphic content and themes involving underage characters. This movie, when I first saw it back in 2010-ish, whenever it came out, or whenever I saw it, I didn't see it like as soon as it came out, is what I'm saying. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it today. I thought it was this. There's parts of the movie I don't like.
Mhm.
It feels like, like whoever wrote this was a Howard Stern fan. You can kind of tell with like, with his certain teenage things that it was admitting to, including a crush on his teacher and all that. Um, that aside, I thought that it's a fun movie. This is another one where it looks like it should be a kid's film. It is not. Uh, Hit Girl is an awesome character. Look at how dangerous she is now. She's like, what, 11, 12 years old, and she's killing an entire group of mafia guys.
Mhm.
Imagine when she's like full grown, how dangerous the girl will be.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, it's like when you're watching Kill Bill and they show Lisa Liu, what's her name? The character, the Asian girl, and she was Chinese, Japanese. What was the name of her character? Well, she's in Kill Bill, and they show her in an animation where she's like she killed some guy, shooting him through 3 planes of window to shoot him inside of his limousine
Mhm.
as a child, and is went and said, "Well, look how much more dangerous she got to be now because she
Yeah.
hadn't stopped training." And it's going to be the same thing with this Hit Girl character. They can make one movie now, call it Hit Girl, have it where
Mhm.
she's in her 20s now, and she's just freaking awesome.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, this I think that the best and the worst and best of the whole thing in the whole thing is Nicolas Cage.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
just times when he's like, when he's on fire, he's like, way overacting like he did with the bees in that one scene from that one from the movie. I forget what the movie it was. And but then he's also like very sweet and he's such a loving, downing father, even though he's basically teaching his daughter to be an assassin. Um,
Mhm. Yep.
and they have the great relationship that they kind of have together, even though it's an effed up relationship. It's still
Mhm.
like he's it's like he's teaching her to be an assassin, but at the same time he's still being a good dad, which is so weird. They think when we're introduced to them, he shoots her point blank range in the chest.
Mhm. Yeah.
And this is, and that is so that one scene pays off at the end of the movie,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is what it's supposed to do. That's Chekhov's gun. That's that rule. If you show something within the first 2 minutes of the movie, if it's something like a gun or Hit Girl getting shot in the chest and surviving it, it has to pay off later in the film, which it does.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm sorry if you've never seen the movie before and I ruined it for you. It's 15 years old. Go see it. Uh, it's not the whole film. Yeah, and then they have the whole thing where Kick-Ass is pretending to be gay. Dave is pretending to be gay so that he can go and hook up with he can be friends with this one chick, and then she ends up like falling for him, but he's gay, so she can't have him as a boyfriend, and then he sneaks into her room and she almost kills him
Mhm. Yeah.
so he could go and like reveal to her everything. Uh it's said I've never seen Kick-Ass 2. I
Mhm.
probably should at some point. I'm wondering if McLovin becomes like the big bad. It looks like he does, the Red Mist. I
Mhm.
follow McLovin because I don't know what they
Yeah.
uh I thought
Yeah, I think that guy kind of known to be McLovin. I don't think he has another name at this point. He might as well just get a driver's license that says McLovin for real.
I think he has that. It's from It's Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays so he's like the villain, he's like the gangster's son. So this is supposed to be a
Mhm.
British film. There's nobody with a British accent in the whole film.
Yeah, there is a.
If anything, I thought it was Canadian. I thought they made it up in British Columbia. Because a lot of movies are made in British Columbia. Uh I still like Kick-Ass after all this time. So Mike,
Okay. So I think this is a movie that we didn't really want to get, but in a way we needed to get because this movie really does a good job of putting the fantasy in, but also putting the reality into being a superhero. So you get this as kids feel like I want to be Superman. Well, let me show you what's really going to happen to you, because he gets the crap beat out of him so much, even when he's starting out in costume. And it really brings that reality of this is ridiculous to want to be a superhero.
This would have been a good movie to put together with what's that one with Ben Stiller, Mystery Men?
I'd never even seen that one.
Yeah, Mystery Men are trying to create a superhero team, and it's all these people who are just normal people pretending to be superheroes.
Hmm.
And it's got Ben Stiller and Janine Garofalo and a bunch of other people. And I remember it being like, not the greatest movie, but it's like good enough where you don't hate yourself watching it.
Yeah. So overall, I think this movie is okay. It's not one that I'm gonna go rush out to watch again. I've watched it like once before this time. Barely even remembered it. I did see the second one as well too, and I just remembered Jim Carrey in the second one and how absolutely obnoxious, crazy he is in that. Um, I do think that I do agree with you with Hit Girl and Big Daddy are just two phenomenal characters in this. But I really think the best person is Big Daddy. I don't think he was too overacting. But I think he does a good job of being that Nicolas Cage crazy just enough, but also being this just normal father guy that, as well too, mixed into one.
I love how when he's dressed as in the Big Daddy character, he starts acting like Adam West
Mhm.
and Batman.
Yeah.
He even looks like Batman.
Yeah, he does.
If anything, he looks like the character who's not Batman that's in my brain's not working with names tonight. Um what's that one movie that they came out? Watchmen. I'm remembering something that I'm talking about. Yeah, they had that Watchmen had that one character in Watchmen that kind of looked like Batman. That's more of what like Nick Cage kind of looks like here. But I don't know if
I also like, I think it was when they introduced Hit Girl, they had some cheesy kind of J-poppy song going. Am I remembering that right?
I don't remember.
I don't think I'm making that up because it's now been I watched this. This is one of the first ones I watched when we started doing this. I just remember this just watching her in the room just slaughtering everybody was just it was just insane to see.
Yeah.
The character that I have trouble though believing is was it Crimson Mist was his name?
Yeah, the one McLovin played.
Yes, I find that character
Red Mist.
way too hard to swallow for this because it doesn't seem it seems like he wanted to wanted to follow up on what his father was doing, but wasn't getting the chance to. So I don't understand why he'd like keep pursuing this to this level, and then he gets beat down, and then all of a sudden decides that he's going to continue this. It just doesn't add up to me for some reason. And also the end where Kick Ass is flying up and firing in that scene's just a little too unbelievable, which is weird to say because it is a comic book movie, but then it also is a comic book movie that's based off of characters that wouldn't make it in a comic book movie, really, apart from Hit Girl. So, or maybe I should say his character wouldn't make it in a comic book movie because he was just really just this weak guy. He just wanted to be
Yeah.
awesome, and that's really all it was.
This
Uh,
movie would have been better if this was like the lead up to Hit Girl the movie and just make
yeah,
series about her because it's Chloe Grace Moritz is the actress playing Mindy McCready, also known as Hit Girl. You literally can, in comic book world, you can run two congruent series with that character. You could have it where she's still the 11-year-old, and then you could also do one where she's older now, and she runs her own team, or she's doing everything solo, and you could also make the older character have this darkness in her because like her father died right in front of her, and
Yeah.
have her give her demons, or even have it where Hit Girl turns into a villain at one point. That's the thing, is like people who like comic you don't watch wrestling, but there's many wrestlers out there who take a lot of their gimmick ideas from comic books, and the storytelling is not a heck of a lot different. It's just, instead of being superheroes fighting it out in the streets of of Manhattan, you're in a wrestling ring doing it. But it's still like you have these characters who like they go through their ups and downs, and they turn from good guy to bad guy. And like there's certain comic book heroes where they've been good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy again. Same thing with wrestling. Look at the Big Show. Paul White, he's been a good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy. Sometimes in the same week. So it's so there's, I think that, I mean, I don't follow the comic book, and I can be talking about stuff that's already been done, where there's like a whole Hit Girl series and all that. But I think that it's like there's way more to her character, I think, than there is to Ass Kick or Kick Ass or whatever you want to call him. Because he almost seems like he's the introduction to a greater universe of characters.
He feels more like the sidekick that forced into the main character role.
And if you want to do it that way, there's stories all over the place where it's told from a side character's perspective, where they're not the main character of the story.
Yeah.
And if you want to keep as then if Kick-Ass were to continue on, it would, in my opinion, should become that, or it would be just like Kick-Ass is always the sidekick. Who's he the sidekick? Who's the sidekick? Who's he sidekicking for this movie?
Kick-Ass, he becomes the guy in the mailroom for the superheroes.
Yes. Like when you get to the Justice League, and he's at the Justice League headquarters, and he works in the mailroom.
It's like, hey, Kick-Ass. Oh, hey, Spider-Man. Yeah, I just want to let you know, Kick-Ass, the toilet's overflowing on 4-3.
Oh, is this Marvel?
Yeah, this is Marvel.
Oh, there's no
Marvel.
No Justice League. What's the what does Marvel have?
The Avengers.
The Avengers. Okay, so yeah, he works at the Avengers headquarters in New York, and he works in the mailroom. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry for all the people like, you know what, keyboard warriors, continue that angry comment telling me I don't know what I'm talking about with comic books. It helps with our algorithm.
So I'm just gonna to sum this one up. It's not really a good movie. It's not one that I'm gonna go out and see a lot of, but it's a necessary movie. And I think that gives it a thumbs up from me, is because if you're sick of the whole comic book movie being comic book heroes that get their powers and they go out and start battling crime, and the first thing they do is string up 17 people who are robbing a bank, watch this movie and watch what happens when he goes out and faces the first two guys. And you're going to get the reality of being a superhero.
If you like comic book movies and you like Kill Bill, because this has like a lot of like a Kill Bill kind of feel, because everybody, like all the deaths. Well, there's a ton of deaths in this movie. There's a huge body count.
Yeah.
From a lot of them from Hit Girl.
Yeah.
It's why I'm such a fan of her. So like it's a good introduction to a new group of heroes. It's a good Nicolas Cage film if you like him. I give it a thumbs up. I think it's a movie that if you're looking for if you're a superhero movie fan and you haven't seen it yet, you probably should give this one a good watch.
4 movies in and all thumbs up so far.
I know. Can we keep up this perfect run as we head into Hellboy?
It only takes one of us to break it, so one of us knows, at least one of us knows, if we're going to make it through this whole episode with all thumbs up.
At least one of us knows. Perhaps we both know. Who knows?
Perhaps we will know. Yep.
You have to keep tuned in to find out. And Mike, are we ready for our fifth film?
Yes, now we're getting into those comic books that you probably, or movies that you probably knew were comic books, but might know them in a different medium. You ready for the first one?
I am ready.
And
Hellboy. Okay. Hellboy is a 2004 American superhero film directed by Oh God, is
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro, based on the Dark Horse Comics character created by Mike Mignola. The film stars Ron Perlman as Hellboy, a demon summoned by the Nazis during World War II, who is rescued by Allied forces and raised by Professor Trevor Brutenholm to become a defender against supernatural threats. As an agent of the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, BPRD, Hellboy confronts ancient evils, including Rasputin, and a plan to bring about the apocalypse. Noted for its imaginative visuals, gothic atmosphere, and strong performance, Hellboy received positive reviews and developed a devoted fan base, leading to a sequel in 2008. Mike?
Okay, so Hellboy's actually gotten really big. And it's interesting because I've seen there's been a couple like Hellboy board games as well too. One of which I think my buddy picked up. Um, I saw this movie like once when it was way back when it first like came to DVD. And I think there's a Hellboy 2. I don't think there's a third one. It's just 1 and 2, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I saw the second one as well. So it had been a long time since I had seen this movie, like a really long time since I'd seen this movie. And watching it again, no. So this is where I'm going to make an announcement. That perfect streak just ended because this has so many bad comic or even story cliches. Nazis, check. You know, creature that they stumble upon just randomly, check. Becomes their child, check. Becomes a hero but is basically caged up, check. It's like there's just so much of this that or has a sidekick that's a genius, check. I mean, it's just so cliche that it's not even so bad it's good. It's just exists. And I was sitting and watching this and I think it took me a couple times to get through it. And I'm just like, I think this is like one of the longest ones on our list to watch. And I'm just like, okay, hurry up, keep going through it. I think I did catch that they had a really bad error. I don't remember exactly where it happened, but it's towards the beginning where it looked like they took his right arm, which is the one that was big, and moved it to his left arm. It could have been them looking in the mirror or something, but it didn't look like it was. But that's kind of just what I pictured in the movie. It's just let's kind of just slop it together. Let's slop it together and make it happen. There was though a good part of it, which was where he had that one, like the director who was very anti Hellboy. And then they had to be teamed up together towards the end and kind of saw eye to eye where they're helping each other out. And I thought that was a kind of a good touch. But everything else was just, I'm cool with wiping it out of my memory and not really watching this movie again. And I don't think there was really any standout performances in this movie at all. And no real characters that were even remotely interesting. Even the guy that they brought in that was going to be the replacement for who was handling Hellboy was just so boringly flat. So I'm yeah, definitely a thumbs down for me on this one.
Michael,
Yeah.
we can still keep our perfect streak going here on agreeing with each other through all 5 of these films, because this movie sucked. I was like, I could not wait for this movie to end. It was just like, just not, well, it's just not, it wasn't getting to me. And I'm like, I know people who love this film.
Mhm.
And when I saw it before years and years and years ago, I didn't like it then either. I just don't like this movie. I don't, it's just missing something with me. I don't know what it is, but it's just like, it's just not there. And
Yeah.
in the event they made a sequel, maybe it's because of the director and how it's filmed. I don't know. That's all I really gotta say about it. The only thing I really ever saw that I liked Ron Perlman in is when he was the biker in that TV show on FX.
Mhm.
So
But you mentioned that when you're reading the description that this got favorable reviews, or why?
eh,
I mean, this is a good point where I want to say, if you watch this movie and you would give this a favorable review, comment why.
see here. Hellboy had its world premiere at Men's Chinese Theater in Hollywood on March 30th, 2004. And it grossed $23.1 million in 3,000 theaters. I guess it also did really well on DVD.
Mhm.
It's just one of those things where it's like, most of the country likes coffee and I don't.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like, this is just something that I guess me and you are not on board on this. Like, if like, because that made me feel better, because I'm like, oh, we're gonna get to that one movie and I'm gonna be the one that's gonna ruin the streak.
I loved it.
This is the best movie ever. Are you talking about Hellboy? I have a Hellboy tattoo.
I have a Hellboy love pillow.
Ron Perlman, give it to. Okay. So,
All right.
Blair was in the movie too. At least she's attractive. Okay.
That's another thing that I want to bring up is I can't actually believe the relationship between the Hellboy character and the lady.
Well, you're right. I feel so forced. Beverly and the Duck.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. Oh,
You know, Hellboy's like, at least I got some, to Howard.
yeah.
He kind of, Hellboy kind of looks like Glenn Danzig. Do you know what Glenn Danzig looks like?
A little bit.
All right, so we're gonna bring up a Google here and put in Glenn Danzig. All right, let's see if we can get him with the lamb chops going. Oh, there's got to be like a picture of it. Here we go. Probably this one. Oh no, he doesn't have the lamb chops going on the side. But yeah, that's basically Hellboy right there.
Yeah, he was. No, wasn't he like the lead singer for Black Sabbath after Ozzy?
I don't think he was. He was in Misfits and then Samhain and then did Danzig.
Dio. I'm getting confused with Ronnie James Dio. Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. So there's your Hellboy right there.
Yeah.
So all right, so we ready to do the last one?
Yes, let's do the last one.
And it's now up.
Okie dokie. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a 1990 American live-action film directed by Steve Barron based on the comic book characters created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Blending elements of action, fantasy, and comedy, the film follows 4 anamorphic turtles, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael, trained in ninjutsu by their rat mentor, Splinter. Living in the sewers of New York City, the turtles emerge to fight crime and take on the villainous Foot Clan led by the sinister Shredder. The film was a surprise box office hit. Really? Really? Maybe because I was in the whole thing. How was that a surprise? I don't know. Okay.
Surprise box office hit when you're not a kid when you're an adult, basically.
Okay, yeah, they didn't see it. I gotta get you. But of course, the kids were like, of course it's a hit. It's from a
Yeah.
girl. The film was a surprise box office hit and became the highest grossing independent film at the time. It remains a nostalgic favorite, praised for its faithful adaptation, practical effects, and darker tone compared to later iterations. Is this mine?
This is yours.
Yeah. How is this a surprise hit? I guess if you were a parent at the time or an adult at the time, but if you were a parent at the time, you were probably not surprised by this as well because you're the one who's going out to the store buying your stuff, buying stuff for your kid that has Ninja Turtles on it.
It's the journalist. The journalist is a surprise hit because that's all they do rather than having a family with kids and following their kids.
The- it- it's becoming, I think it's less and less now because of how divided media is. But back in the day when we only had like a handful of channels, when a show caught on,
Mhm.
it caught on.
Yeah.
And this show caught on. This
We had that.
well, they call it the shit. This was the shit. This was the thing. This was what this was a money making machine that I think they probably could have pulled even more money out of than they actually did, and they pulled out a shit amount of money to begin with. So like this movie was like really really good. Financially, it's also a good film. I think that this was it was different than the cartoon, but if you watched the cartoon and read the comic book, it was a merger of the two of those, with more leaning on the comic book, but leaning on the visual elements of the cartoon, such as the colored mask. Because in the comic book, they all wore red masks.
Yes. Don't worry, I'm gonna get to all that.
Oh yeah. Mike is a Ninja Turtles expert, so we haven't got to him yet. I know a little bit about it because I grew up with when Ninja Turtles was hot. And this movie was such a success that when the next movie came out the following year, we had to buy tickets for a showing that was like later in the day, which was like almost unheard of with movies.
Yeah.
Because of course we didn't have multiplexes like they did later. We had like four movies at the same time. I go someplace they got like 10, 20, you know. So I remember going to see the sequel. I know I'm talking about the sequel, not the first one, because the first one I didn't see it in the theater. Just the first one I saw it on videotape because it kind of was a surprise hit where they didn't really plan for it to be that big of a theatrical movie, so it didn't get a huge of a theatrical run as the second one did. The second one, it coming out was like a holiday.
Mhm.
It was ridiculous. Like I said, we went out to the Naugatuck Valley Mall. I went with my buddy Chad. His parents took me and Chad to go down there. And the line to get the movie tickets was going out of the building, around the building. It was the only time I've ever seen anything like that, other than when I went to go see Star Wars Episode 1.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm sure it's happened. It's just probably times I've seen it. So it was crazy. Like when I say seen it, seen it in around here. I've gone places where like you go to like New York or you go to like Las Vegas and they got something big going on. There's a huge gigantic line all the time. But I'm talking about like around here, it doesn't happen too often. But yeah, the Ninja Turtles, the Ninja Turtles movie, you got a lot of study, and I watched it the other day.
Mhm.
I teared up. I got emotional when they were doing the thing where they're all sitting around the fire and they're meditating, thinking about Splinter, because it's the whole thing. It's a father and his sons, and they really lean on that, and it does get a little emotional because especially like you start thinking about your dad, or if you're a dad, you start thinking about your kids, and then you start thinking about that relationship that you have, and how they did a really good job of kind of showing that in this movie where Splinter's their dad and they feel lost without their father. And they have to, in the movie, it's them kind of growing up and going to rescue him. Is them kind of like, okay, we still love our father, we still want him around, and we still kind of need him, but we can do stuff on our own if we have to. And that's what they end up doing through the help of Casey Jones and one of the Aprils, because there's multiple Aprils in the Ninja Turtle. Two of them. Yeah, they switched Aprils and Ninja Turtles too. What do you have, Mike? And then maybe I'll bounce off of you if I got something more to say.
Okay. So I'm going to start out by saying that when this movie came out, I didn't like it, and I still don't. But I kind of have to go into a lot of my history with Ninja Turtles to kind of understand it, because this is one of those that is such a bizarre history. When Ninja Turtles were big, I didn't like Ninja Turtles. Um, until all of a sudden, like Burger King did this thing where they were doing Ninja Turtle shows on tape. I ended up picking up one, and then my buddy gave me the Turtle Blimp. And I'm like, okay, I'll just kind of give it a try and see what I think. And then all of a sudden, I really started liking Ninja Turtles. And I picked up all of those Burger King tapes. And I started watching their shows. I started collecting the figures and things like that. And I actually had a pretty big collection. I had like everyone except for Shredder. And then I I went with my mom to an old store called Pack and Save, which was one of those it was kind of like a Costco, but before you had to have like a membership to get in. And I stumbled across a 2-pack of the graphic novels of the first series of comic books in Ninja Turtles. And I didn't know how different they were. So my mom picked it up for me, and I read those two repeatedly, got my hands on, there was a third and a fourth volume that came out, got my hands on those and read those multiple times. And there's vast differences between the turtles that you see on TV and the turtles that you see in the comic books. You've already touched up on their bandanas being different colors in the TV, obviously to make them distinguishable, as well as make them marketable too. The same way that like K-pop works, where my favorite member is such and such. You can do the same thing with the turtles based off of that. Their personalities in the comics aren't as, fleshed out as they are in the show, where you have the one that's a party animal, you have the one that's a genius. You have those in the comics, but they don't make that stand out. It's really the story and the action that stand out. Um, so when I look at this movie is interesting because it it becomes a good marriage of both the TV show and the comic book. It has the TV show, what the TV show brought to table with them loving pizza and being actual teenagers that talk like teenagers of the 90s and 80s, and basically just want to have a good time. But there's so many elements in the story that are taken just 100% straight out of the comics. For instance,
Yeah.
April living above her store, that's in the comics. The part where one of the turtles goes out on their own and gets the crap beat out of them and goes, ends up going through the roof, that's in the comics. However, in the comics, it was Leonardo, not Raphael. The fight within the store and the fire starting, that's in the comics. Casey Jones jumping out in that fight, that's in the comics. The scene where they're pulling away in the VW Bug and she's looking at the place burning, that's in the comics. The place they go to, the shack out in the woods, that's also in the comics. The conversation they had where they're talking about like Gilligan, that's in the comics. um it's there's just so much that it takes from it, and the whole rooftop fight at the end, as well as the first fight at the beginning. Well, okay, the first fight at the beginning is the ideas pulled from the comics. That's actually how the first issue starts, is they're actually backed into a corner and they're fighting some punks. And the whole idea was them to go out and to test their skills. The fight with Shredder, um, is on the rooftop, is in the comics. However, Splinter wasn't present during that fight. It was the four of them that basically took him out. He ended up going over the ledge. after he tried to blow everybody up. So it's not 100% accurate, but that's in the comics. Um, the the comics, so it was able to take it a little step further, especially with the part where Leonardo is recuperating, because you really get to see the weakness of the turtles at that point, which you catch in the movie, but you don't catch it to the level that you would watching um what you see in the movie. Um and I'm trying to think of, there were some other things I wanted to say about it. Oh, yes, the origin. The origin is not 100% accurate, but it does a really good job, and it does point out that Splinter was a rat, as opposed to that what the TV show did to basically avoid death, by turning Hamato Yoshi into Splinter, which is kind of funny because I stumbled upon a post somebody did where they were talking about one of the one of those Fantastic Four movie came out, and they're having somebody who is playing Johnny Storm, instead of being the standard Johnny Storm, the comic, is be played by a black actor. And somebody made a comment that said, that's like when the Turtles movie made Splinter a rat from the begin with. It's just not right. And I was sitting there going, well, actually, dude, that's how it was. So that's how much the TV show has really taken over what the Turtles have become. There are some things that were left out that were really important, because I believe, if I remember in the movie, they said that Hamato Yoshi fled, and then Orokusaki came over to New York, and that's where he killed Tang Shin and fought Hamato Yoshi, and killed him there, or something like that. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I can't think of it because I got so many stories of how the Turtles came to be in my head. Um, it really, the comics did a better job of it, because it was actually Orokusaki's brother, older brother, that killed Tang Shin. And Hamato Yoshi killed Shredder's brother. And during the funeral, Orokusaki swore to get vengeance. So what he did was he trained extensively until he got to the lead level of the foot, whereas Hamato Yoshi, because of what he did, since Hamato Yoshi and Roku Nagai were in the same Foot Clan, he was dishonored. He did something dishonorable and fled to New York. And what the Shredder did, Orokusaki did, was he trained himself to get up to the top level, knowing that's where Hamato Yoshi went, and then purposely decided he wanted to create a New York branch of the Foot. And that's how he ended up where he could kill Hamato Yoshi. Where this story didn't exactly nail that, but it was getting darn close. One other thing I liked about this versus the show is that the Foot Clan members were actually people rather than the whole robot thing, which is ridiculous. And I think one of the best scenes, okay, so I gotta say the best scene is another one that I quote, just like Howard the Duck's smog inspection, is the go play. So that's a running joke between me and Maria. But one of the best scenes is where that character, Setsu, I think his name is, or something like that, Tetsu, the guy had just become a Foot Clan member, and he gets all upset and mad and beats the dude down to where he's like barely alive. And that just shows the pure evil of this clan, and it did a really good job doing that scene. So
Like, you're handing out cigarettes. It was like,
yeah,
you know what? It was a lot like. I mean, it was a modern day version take on the Fantasy Island thing that they have in Pinocchio. Remember
I
Pinocchio?
don't know that one.
It was the island of Forgotten Teens or something like that, where it was. Oh, now I have to look it up. Hold on. Let's see here. Pinocchio. They ended up all turning into donkeys.
Mm-hmm.
I remember happening. It was like Pinocchio. Hold on. Pinocchio Island. Pinocchio Island refers to Pleasure Island, a fictional location from Disney's 1940 film Pinocchio, where mischievous boys were lured with promise of fun and freedom only to be transformed into donkeys by the wicked coachman. So that's what it reminded me of, is like a lot of like that, where these kids were they're playing pool and they're smoking cigars and they're
Yeah.
drinking beer, and they slowly start turning into donkeys. Where here they're not turning into donkeys, obviously they're turning into they're turning into gang members is when they're turning into.
Yeah.
And but it's the same thing where they're smoking cigarettes, they're playing video games, they're skateboarding, where besides the cigarettes, the skateboarding and the video games themselves are not notoriously evil. Especially one of the games we're playing is Narc, and Narc has got do drugs all over the machine.
Yeah. But it's just the idea that these are things that kids would do to get away from doing responsibilities
Yeah.
that would get their attention.
Yep. They go and they play video games, smoke cigarettes, and skateboard. The same
Yeah.
things that they do on the boardwalk. If you ever watch Baywatch, it's like, because it's on the same time too. Like all the 90s. That's what we actually in the 90s. That's actually kind of a lot of what a lot of kids did do. I never got into skateboarding personally, but I got into the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me just, I'm pretty much done with what I want to say. I'm just going to give it my rating, and you probably already know where I'm going with this rating. After saying that it's not a movie I liked then and now, I actually give this movie a thumbs up, because I actually have a respect for it because of how well it did on taking those aspects from the TV show and from the comic book and the story from the comic book and making it into a movie that works for both the generation that's into the TV portion and the generation that's into the comic portion. So I don't think it's really an enjoyable movie overall, but I respect it. I would watch it based off of that, because I can watch this movie and I can see those images, those still pictures in the comics of those specific actions when they happened. And now at this point, I'm seeing them acted out live. I do want to say though, I always felt, and I still do, that the whole Ninja Turtles, the look that they did with the costumes and everything has been praised. I always thought it looked creepy, and I still think it does.
Yeah, I could see where you're coming from on that. So I got a thumbs up, you got a thumbs up. We both are giving a thumbs up to Ninja Turtles. I think out of all the movies that we watched that resemble a kid's film, this is the only one that actually is.
Yeah.
So this one you can put little Junior down in front of, and just you might pick up smoking, but that's about
It still is a very violent movie.
Yeah.
No. So, but that it's also 80s violence, which was acceptable then for kids to watch. So,
Yeah.
It's not red.
Yeah. Speaking of, when you got those things that you don't want to do, Ben does it so you don't have to.
Yep.
Red is a 2008 American drama thriller film directed by, oh God, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Forget who was directed by it. Based on a novel by Jack Ketchum, the film stars Brian Cox as Avery Ludlow, a quiet widower whose only companion is his old dog, Red. When a senseless act of violence by a group of teenagers leads to the dog's death, Avery seeks justice. After local authorities fail to take action, he turns matters into his own hands, setting off a slow, burning quest of accountability that reveals the dark undercurrent of a small-town community. Praise for its emotional depth and Cox's restrained performance, Red is a somber mediation of grief, justice, and the price of violence. What's up, Mike?
Okay, before you get into it, is that the right one?
I am not looking at that screen. Hold on. No.
No, do you mean there's another movie called Red?
Yes, there's another movie called Red. This one has
All right.
Brian Cox in it.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to find this really quick. Brian Cox.
Yes. 2008.
Oh, I think I found this one. Okay, so let me see if I can get this one up, and it's the right one. If I can open up this image, it doesn't give me the option to open the image because I'm on IMDb. Okay, so I'm gonna try sharing it again, and you tell me if I got the right one this time.
Okay.
Is that it?
Hold on. Yes, that's it.
Okay, there we go. Go for it.
This movie was actually pretty good. The whole time you were definitely on Brian Cox's side. If you're a dog lover, you're particularly on his side in this movie. It's like, what would happen if you are, like your wife's dead, you don't have anything else, and all you have is your dog and a bunch of asshole teenagers, and they just came up to him and gave him a hard time, threatened to rob him, and then shot his dog in front of him. The dog was not even moving. It wasn't like barking or growling or anything. Like, this was completely uncalled for. And it was like the whole time you're like, what would you do in this situation? You're like, is he going too far? Well, kind of, yes. But would I go too far if I was in the same situation? Someone killed my dog, And I think that it was a good psychological thriller in that respect. So I'm gonna say that this is a good movie. I compared it very much to the villain dynamic that they had in Roadhouse. It's a different style of movie. Roadhouse is like, action with the fighting scenes and all that. But the idea of a rich family that kind of runs a town and does whatever the hell they want is one of the things in this movie.
Mhm.
So, but that was very quick. Ben does it because we're running way over time. So,
And the good news is, next week Ben's gonna do it again, so you don't have to by watching the other Red movie that we just posted.
we're gonna watch every movie called Red. Oh,
Every episode there's gonna be a review of Ben watching a movie called Red.
I used to date a girl I called Red. Yeah, she didn't have red hair. She was just called that because she was bleeding all the time. Just kidding.
Wow. Okay, so there was actually here. I'm gonna show you what your next movie is that you get to watch. Okay, because I found this one. Okay, so everybody, here is a movie that Ben gets to watch next week.
Eventually, it'll come up. Turning Red.
And then I'll actually got to watch Red, and then the following week will be Turning Red.
And then I'll watch Star Wars when they go and say Red 5, Red 6, Red Leader.
Red 5 standing by.
Red 6 standing by. All right. So what are we doing next week, Mike? And we'll bring.
So next week is first off, we're starting out with a Watch Ben Die, so you don't have to. We've got a mystery game that only I know what it is. Okay, so only I know what it is, and only Green Man Gaming knows what it is. Ben is going to find out what it is on the spot, and then he's going to have to play it. No matter if he likes it or hates it, he's going to have to sit there and play it for like 45 minutes. Then after that, he's going to bring up his Xbox. I'm going to bring up my Steam, and we're going to do a Watch Us Die in the spirit of Halloween for Heretic and Hexen. Most likely we'll probably just do Heretic because that's probably the easier one to get into. Or we could do Hexen. I don't care. And we'll probably knock off about 45 minutes on that one.
So that's what we're doing next week. We're doing a Let's Play. Of course, we don't call it that, but that's what it is. So with that, Mike, you want the last word? Or
I definitely want the last word.
okay, what is the last word?
Red.